This is the Uke Revolution. I'm Brooke, and you're watching a lesson for the Zombies song, Time of the Season. I'm going to go ahead and put chord shapes on the screen so you can check them out while I'm talking about business stuff. So in this lesson, I'll teach you the chord shapes, the chords you need to play the whole song. We've got like one long pattern that repeats a few times for this song. So I'll show you two versions of the chord progression in this lesson. One is simplified and one is a little more complicated and sounds a bit more like the original production. I'm going to show you some tricks with the bass riff and some other little riff things in the song that you can throw into your arrangement when you play it. I'll show you a couple of strum ideas and an example of the chords over the lyrics for the verse and the hook of this song, and how to end the song, the outro of the song. You can check the chapters here on YouTube or the timestamps in the caption if you want to skip around to different parts of the lesson. There is a song chart for this song. It's available for monthly members, or you can get it in the shop on Ko-fi. There's also freebies in the shop there. So check the caption below. All the links are there for a lot of different information on how you can become a member, how you can support the channel. And there's some important lessons about rhythm, mostly about rhythms and strums, linked in the caption below as well that you might find helpful. So the chords in this song, we have E minor. You can open the G string. You don't have to play the G string that's shown in this shape. G, C, D, A minor, and E. This is not a song that you can play an E7 in. It will not sound right. Sorry, but this E does come like a kind of free-flowing and only one little strum time. There's not a super fast or difficult change with it. So this is the most simple way to play this song. We're just going to take this and plug it in for the whole song. So this is the whole thing. We have a verse, and then at the end of the verse, there's the hook. It's the time of the season for loving. This is everything together, and it just repeats to play the whole song. This is also the instrumental verse when there's a organ solo. And in between lyric sections, we just have E minor. Anytime there's no lyrics, right after the hook, before the next verse starts, is just E minor. And for this song, the simplest way to strum it is to use the island strum. So you can either play down, down, up, down, chunk up, chunk up. In between each of these forward slashes is 4 beats. So we're going to play E minor for 8, C for 4, E minor for 4, and then we repeat that. The second line is just the same. Then we have G for 4, E minor for 4, G for 4, E minor for 4, C for 4, G for 4, A minor for 2, and E for 2. And then we have a pause where we're just sustaining this E chord for 4 beats before playing the next part. So for these first 3 lines, we're going to play the island strum. Each 4 beats, each set of those forward slashes, the chord gets 1 round of island strum. And on this last line, we're just going to strum each chord down and sustain it. So we'll strum down the C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, A minor, E, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Before going on to play E minor, it's either going to be an interlude or it's going to be the next verse. Just E minor comes next. So I'm going to play this with just the island strum and down strum, sustaining the chords here for the last line. That's the simplest way to play it, and then we'll get into the more complicated way to play it. 1, 2, 3, E minor. C, back to E minor, E minor, C, E minor, third line, G, E minor, G, E minor, C, hold it, G, A minor, E. And I have a little finger picking idea as well that kind of sounds like the rhythm of the original production. So if we're playing this finger picking pattern with the E minor chord, so I'm plucking C, E, G, whole chord, C, E, G, whole chord. And this comes on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's the time of the season. Just on that E minor. So normally we might pluck all 4 strings before then strumming or plucking the whole chord, but this song has this emphasis on the and of 2 in the rhythm. It's when that comes. So that's kind of the idea here, is to make that accent on the and of 2. So if it feels a little weird, that's why. It's not really a standard finger picking thing. That's why I wanted to show it to you. So this looks kind of like a big old mess, but I'm going to break it down for you. And I'm going to play it one time so you can see what it sounds like before I teach it. We also have this little riff here that you could use as a substitute for the E minor GC in the first line if you want to. And I'll show you how to play that too. So I'm going to play this one time. This first line we repeat. So the first line I'll play it just kind of normally, and the second time I'll play it with this riff that I'm going to show you later so you can see how both of them sound. 1, 2, 3, E minor. C, E minor. And then I play that again. Second line. Pause. Third line. Let's look at the first line. So we have E minor for 4, that's a round of island strum pattern. And then in the second bar, we have E minor for 3 and G for 1. So I've repeated this E minor name, like the label, on the third beat, just to remind you that it's kind of accented in the original. Bum, bum, bum. So for that bar, I just play E minor for 3 down strums and G for 1 down strum before going right to the C. And when we get to the C, we're back on the strum pattern. So the C is for 4, the C is for 1 round of island strum pattern, as well as the E minor on the end of that line. And then we repeat that. If you want to play this E minor GC little walk down thing with the riff, this is how we do it. So we've got on the A string 2, 0, and then we're going to play this C5 or C power chord because the last note in that little walk down melody, bum, 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 that note is here. But we also need to play the island strum C chord on this note. So we put them together. We've got a C5 chord. It's a type of C. And you can just play the strum pattern for that C. So we've got this 2 and 0 on the A string is the third and fourth beat of this bar, where this extra E minor and the G are. So if we play that line with the riff, it'll sound like this. E minor, down, down, 2, 0, C. Okay, on the next line, we have a little note. We have this little caret on the E minor over here. For these chords, it may be easier to follow the lyrics instead of trying to count the rhythm. So this part with the E minor DC, they happen pretty quickly. This is the, is the time. It's those lyrics. And we'll see the whole lyric example later. But just to like clarify what's happening here, the E minor is on its, the D is on the, and the C is on time. I think it's easier than trying to count this rhythm where the E minor comes on the 3, the D comes on the and of 3, 3 and then the C comes on the and of 4, 3 and 4 and. We have G for 4, E minor for 4, G for 4, all those get a round of the island strum. Then we have E minor for 2, and then we're gonna go really quick, E, D, C, 3 and 4 and 1. These bars at the end of line 2 and line 3 that have just the periods, that's a bar of no chord. We're just sustaining the last chord that we just played. There's a pause in the song, there's a pause in the arrangement. You can keep strumming that chord if you want to, but in the original production, there's a break there. We just sustain the chord we're playing. So in this last line, we have G for 4, A minor for 2, and E for 2. And then we sustain that E chord for a bar of 4. And for this last line, I'm not using any strum pattern. I'm just strumming the chord. So we'll just strum the G, strum the A minor, strum the E. And I want to show you the bass riff. This comes whenever there's an E minor intro or interlude. And this is on the 4 and 1 whenever you have a bar of E minor. So if you have a low G, you can play 4, 2, 4. I don't have a low G, so it sounds weird. This is the intro of the song, bass riff, and it comes throughout as well in the verses with the E minor chord. Do, 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 do. So what you can do is play this little 3-note riff. It's on the 4 and 1. And then right after it, we'll play the E minor chord on the and of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. If you don't have low G or you don't like how this sounds with the high G, you can play this one, 2, 5, 7, E minor, 2, 5, 7, E minor. So you might like to start the song that way, or you might like to play that for the interludes whenever there's just E minor. So for the end of this song, there's like another long kind of jam section with organ solos and stuff. These are the chords: E minor for 8, C for 4, E minor for 4. And then we just end the song on E minor. Let me show you an example of the chords with the lyrics. I'm going to play the regular version, and then I'll also do it with the simplified progression so you can see what they both sound like with the lyrics. And we're just going to come in here on the E minor. Here we go. It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me easy, and let me try with pleasured hands, take you to the sun, to promised lands, show you everyone. It's the time of the season for loving. So I'm going to play the simplified version with the verse 2 lyrics. What's your name? Who's your daddy? 1, 2, 3, E minor. Just E minor intro 4 times. 2, 3, 4. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly, tell you why. I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving. Ba-da-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's it for time of the season, everybody. If you like this lesson, click like, share with somebody you think might like to learn this song, and I will see you next time with another lesson. Happy strumming and stay funky, everybody. Peace out. Bye-bye.